fabulous talk.
It's because I just put coconut oil on it. Otherwise, I look like Jimi Hendrix.
Do you put it on your beard too? The coconut oil?
I put coconut oil. Yeah, I have to, because whenever I go through shifts and upgrades at night, I wake up and my face is all dry. It's all red.
Yeah, that happens to Michael too.
It's the same way.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways I know that I'm burning DNA, and that's one of them. So we're live on Facebook. Let me we can go to the page and share it out real quick to our affiliate groups, and we'll roll the show out. Hello, everybody.
Facebook. So much love. Invited a whole bunch of people to join us.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. We got 3 people in the Zoom room. Yes.
Oh, interesting. So people will come on the Zoom room here.
They can come on Zoom, or they can watch it on my page. If they watch it on my page, then they can comment. They can comment in the Zoom room too. But here we go. Okay. And yeah, so they can watch it, and you can watch the replay on YouTube. And you can get the replays on on my page under photos. Let's see. Share. Okay, so we got 20.
Your audio is a little bit low. I just want to be sure. Is our audio all right?
Yeah, your audio is good. Yeah.
Okay.
We got 26 people in the house. I'm just going to share to some affiliate groups.
Wonderful.
And those that many of them been doing a lot of work in the community. I'm a little bit, I'm not unbalanced. I'm just a little bit, I just went through about an hour and a half session, Morgan and I.
Oh, beautiful.
Huh?
How's Morgan doing?
It's great, man. She turned into a dragon 2 nights ago. That was quite an experience.
She is a dragon. She's just living in her human form.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was another sacred sexual vibrational experience.
Good.
Yeah, so it was pretty powerful. So it carried over to last night and today. So yeah, we do a review pretty much every day.
Yes.
Yeah. 33 people in the house. If these shows resonate, would you please share? I can't stop smiling. So yeah, we'll talk about it later. So Jenna Harmon, how you doing? How's the baby? How's the family? Demetrius, good to see you. He said loud and crystal clear. Valerie Peterman, Diane Nielsen, Alinka Sandhu, Kathy Waldowski, Amy Sunshine, and Christine Skoglund Lanier Holbeck. Anne-Sophia Antunes, Pat Grab, Gina Gazia, Heather Nielsen, Terry Willette. That was beautiful. She came on yesterday. That was incredible. Guillerme's here.
Okay.
Julie Severin, Gloria Gothard, Pia Halma's daughter. Who did I miss? Oleg Turimoy. So we got 39 people in the house. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for your continued love and support and contributions that keep us going by the seat of our pants every day, which is just reflective of what our whole trip is. Everybody, it's all day to day, moment by moment. Really honored to have our good friends. Everybody knows Michael Abramson and Honi Borden, Divine Conscious Union, the work that they're out there doing all over the globe. We're going to catch up with them. Good to have y'all back. It's an honor to always have y'all here and share space with you. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for welcoming us and together, because we were last with you in Morocco.
Yeah, you were in Morocco when you had the crazy stuff happening over there, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there some crazy stuff with that neighbor in the hotel?
That was in Formentera. That was an island off of Spain. And then we were off to Morocco, and that was that night Michael had gotten very, very sick. So
I remember that. He yelled at you on the phone.
And then I came back, and I was 3 weeks from all the radiation. My DNA was really impacted. Just a lot of stuff.
We got fully activated
We got fully activated.
Right after your show, everything just went whoosh.
Isn't that what happens? I think that's what happens. I don't know. I've been getting fully activated after every show, during every show. It's just, I think it's just an indicator of the energy that we're all experiencing, really. So what have y'all been up to lately? I know you were weren't you down in Florida, and then you were Carolina, I think? And
we were, yes, we were serving in the community in South Carolina. And yeah, we came back. I don't remember. Everything is morphing because like it's just been. I feel like it's like collapsing, clasping. I can never say that word.
Collapsing.
That's right.
We all have words like that. I have a couple words.
One of those difficult English words. It's easier to say in light language than attempt to say it in English. But everything is like morphing and collapsing and changing, because I feel like when you say South Carolina, it feels like it was a year ago. Literally.
It wasn't even a year ago when I saw you at the Goddess Gathering. That was in October, wasn't it?
That was in October. Right. Because we experienced just this past weekend with the amount of dedication and preparation for the Golden Rose, this golden white rose stargate that we had our gathering here for the summer solstice. So Michael and I are just coming back off of that service, and everything that took place in the community that gathered for us to facilitate this very specifically with some of the guidance that was shown to us. And so we've had to sort of go through our own adjustment. And just about a couple hours ago, we heard our pet dragon Durga transition spirit. So I've been just tearing a lot, and we just got the news. I'm just coming and we're both vulnerable from hearing the news that our pet dragon transitioned just to
where did the dragon transition to?
Spirit side. She died. Her name was Durga.
A red bearded dragon that we had the energy and just the joy of taking care of, and then due to our travels we gave it to a sacred friend.
Yeah, Jim and Crystal were the caretaker for the last year and a half, and this was my son's red bearded dragon. So anyway, so we just want to honor Durga as she just left to Spirit side, and I made a post for her, as we know we'll connect with her, but she really she contributed so much to our lives by the presence of her dragon energy. She was in our lives for many years. So anyway, so Michael and I this past week we've been just adjusting to what took place several days before the summer solstice and the actual event on the solstice, and we had our Friday tea time ascension talk, and we're working with the transmissions and then the dedication for the group event, and it was very powerful. It was so powerful. I mean, there's so much to share around this because everyone's been building up to that, and then this next 72-year cycle. So, and coming up to the eclipse on Tuesday, and just everything that's aligning. So I feel like we've been this week a little bit tired. So some individuals will be able to feel like tiredness in the sense to be able to just ground what took place with this golden rose, literally activation within our chakra and within all of our chakras, and what was brought forth. And then we took it onto the planetary healing. We took it to many places to activate certain things with the specific grid line that we're working with.
You're working with, Well, I mean, and I think everybody's acknowledged that the few days before the solstice, and a few days after, about a 10-day period was just phenomenal. I mean,
really, really incredible.
Yeah, we've been feeling the energies and the intensity of them and really embracing them, because as we've noticed, there's just been so many things coming up within ourselves. So the most important thing is really to embrace them and just to welcome them with joy, peace, and love, because that's the only thing we can really do at this point versus fighting it, because it's coming through pretty strong right now.
And you know, the amount, like last week, there was such an ecstatic, especially from Ascension Day, you know, couple weeks before that coming up, such an expansion of light, the photonic plates, the incredible amount of literally transmissions coming in. I had made several posts about the number of days I've been inside these fleet ships and working with these transmissions coming. And this particular past week before the solstice, there was a lot of experiences happening with both of us in our meditations, and some of the experiences we were having together when we would sit together in that place, and especially Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene had very specific instruction for the event. You know, it was amazing taught, because she wanted, and one of the things that we were asked to do was she wanted the participants in the group to become a living, walking vibration of the white golden rose. And what that meant, she had asked for the host that was hosting us to be in the middle, Michael and I, to be like the next petal and create the golden ratio petal formation, and for us to spin around each other and create that grid, because we're in Washington, D.C., as you know, and everything has been to work with this specific grid line from Stonehenge, coming through, you know, Massachusetts, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., going down to the Carolinas, going down to Atlanta, going down to Mexico. And there's this specific line that we've been asked to, the areas in which have been hijacked by the frequencies that are in separation of the sacred divine feminine, the voice of the great divine mother, and the voice of the Magdalene consciousness, for us to bring this golden white rose resonance and bring that divine sovereign essence back in, so where individuals can claim their own, literally, so like the cellists, they've become the holy grail themselves. But there's a lot of sort of like ceremonial thing we had to experience within the group, and one part of it was that. The other part of it was to create this prayer bundle where each participant took part in seeding the golden white rose, and really deeply connecting to the Gaia's golden sacred white rose and its diamond plates of light, so the unity grids of it, and to help activate that within their 12th chakra and radiating out. So there was a lot we were involved with, very specifically what was shown to bring forth within the group. So then all of this will go on, and for us to then take it to certain places that we had to do our part, which some of the work we do we can't really discuss freely, openly. We just have to do our part with
people know where the location is of where we are.
Yeah,
so
people can look up and
where we live.
Yeah, and so we had to literally, the focus was to dismantle these frequencies and bring this specific frequency, because we needed to clear out the last 72 years, and with this window that opened up into the golden white rose stargate, welcome the next 72 years, which is part of this 144 cycle year, and activate the 144 qualities of the divine virtues, which we collaborated with Stellar and John to infuse it into each of the chakras, of the 12 chakras, so individuals can radiate that out. I mean, really profound. It was 4.5 hours, and
fire ceremony.
We did a fire ceremony afterwards.
People bring their offering to the fire, and we use that as a transformational piece in the honor of solstice and the connection to the land. And it was an amazing event. And as you know, Todd, we were honored because there were so many gatherings happening around the world.
Yes.
And we felt blessed that we could be positioned right outside of DC to hold our spot as we merged with so many others around the world. And so where you are in Hawaii, where those in Australia, those that are in the UK, I really felt through the ceremony that there was just this big unification of all of us coming together in celebration. And it really, we really felt honored and grateful to bring that forward.
Take part in the 3 days. We were very committed to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and taking it back to also in Washington, D.C. at Malcolm X Park, Todd, we have this.
I saw that.
Circle, right. For 50 years, they've been drumming from on Sundays from 4 o'clock all the way to sunset. And for us to take that and then from there go to the specific places, do what we needed to do, and then just the stuff that we needed to do. And this is specifically, again, we're still working with the Rose line, the Rose Dragon line. This has been continuously to bring the Yeshua and Magdalene codes of light and working. And before that, all last week, there was this gigantic Ashtar command ship above. And so I've been in communication so much with that. And the support has been incredible, how much support we've been having the Earth crew here to be able to deliver what we need to deliver, literally the planetary ascension together and the collective energy. And I feel like after we were up late exhausted, so I feel like from Monday on, we've just been trying to catch up, rebalance from that incredible expansion.
And so what's the intel from the Star family? You mentioned the fleet earlier, and then Ashtar starship just a second ago. I mean,
there's on this part what I can share, maybe we can bring the one. Would you mind, my love, on that altar upstairs, the one painting I did and the one in this room?
Sure.
So I can speak of that just briefly.
The one that you created.
Yeah, the one I created, that one. So from May, what had been happening, there had been about 12 fleet ships that cover literally their position in the our Helios Vistas, our grandfather's sun. And then many of them are working with the Earth crew here on Earth. Some of us are in direct communication, and they're working with the different frequency of light to assist individuals to expand their, how would I say, light codes, so that they can easier align with their true divine essence. Because from the photonic blasts that are coming in, we're inside this ring of photonic blasts that we entered into. And I'm going to talk about this in just a second. This is two of the transmissions of the 12. So what they were showing me was that these frequencies, one part of it is the diamond codes. Some understand what the diamond codes of light are, and majority don't understand what that means in terms of the actual body template shifting into the diamond template. That diamond template, the light body, is very important, because after that body, we have the solar bodies, then we have the sun bodies, the different bodies coming up. Like we have the plasma body, solar body, and sun bodies, and what have you. So for example, mine had been activated for 4.5 years ago, and I had to wait before I could bring the transmission. That's why when I was on your show in March, I could actually deliver that transmission, because they had asked me to wait, because on a planetary level, the frequency of the diamond plates, which is the 5th dimensional frequency, and it also is ruled by Venus, had to be adjusted. So these fleet ships have been assisting with the solar waves, with the magnetic rays, with all of that coming, because what is put out by NASA, frankly, is bullshit. I don't listen to that at all. There's a lot of, I feel NASA, as many know, Freemasons own NASA, and there's so much, I don't even pay attention to any of the NASA report, because I like directly receiving what I receive from the fleet ships, and some of the fleet ships have become closer and closer to help us assimilate and adjust in our light body diamond template, just so that the diamond crystalline light of us is able to have an easier time with its crystal light radiating, because when that happens, we are able to, like, for example, let's say this is the diamond, as from the center of it, which is like a radiance of the sun, that it radiates in whatever facet of direction, we connect at that level, and anything else that is of the vibration that's, let's say, heavier or denser or spinning slower, is able to rise up. So for example, and that's what I do, in the transmissions that you experience, but as a group and in a personal session and what have you. Point being, as these transmissions, these are some of the ships that I've been in and bringing the light code languages in, and to ground the energy. There are those of us who are the transmitters, we can receive the light codes through the rays of light. And this specific, the blue, has a lot to do with the royal blue of the Divine Mother. They're assisting, so the energy of the Creator Divine Mothers is able to come in as that, again, the divine sovereign beingness of the mother energy is able to ground this energy. So that's where they're assisting, and they're assisting with the photonic lights. The photonic lights is very important because we're a little bit immature in handling these frequencies. We open up too much, but we don't know how to integrate properly, how to live with them properly, how to sort of like assimilate and adjust, because what happens is our DNA is able to then provide this massive amount of information, because it's just light and the living beings. And when we open up interdimensionally, we freak out because we don't know how to handle, it's like we don't know how to handle. We feel like we're on acid trips or, LSD and what have you. And it takes a while to ground the energy. So the fleet ships have been helping with these adjustments, as well as those of us who are the transmitter of grounding it. We're able to ground them into Gaia's fifth dimensional frequency properly. So this frequency is able to radiate a little bit more in a balanced way amongst all of us that are expanding.
Yeah. Man, you guys have been busy. So, Michael, what's your experience been? Have you been up on the ships too?
Well, I would say what I'm aware of is both Honi and I, in our morning prayers, we've had different encounters where, for me, I've noticed I've had recently 2 weeks ago where there were 3 ships in front of me. And so what's happened, and as you know, we can share very freely in this because some of this, it just sounds so far out there, that there were three ships in front of me, and light piercing into my third eye. And as the light was piercing into my third eye, I felt there was a pure activation of energy. It was about a week before the solstice. And what I love about it is, Honi is in one room doing her morning meditation prayer. I'm in my room, and we both know, as shamanic practitioners, healers, in our past, what we've gone through, we then come together and share what's happened. And sometimes we pass messages back and forth. We sit there and we're like, wow, we should, record this. We should sit and share this because it's so far out there. Like recently I had this goddess called Zenith come through, and she came through and she was this blue goddess, and it was like telepathically communing through my third eye as she was opening my heart and bringing forth the trust that is the message that we are in the ascension. Everything is going exactly as planned, and not to let fear, doubt, or any type of insecurity to pull us down from where we're going. And what I love about this is these mornings, Honi and I, it's like we come out of it so like, wow, what has happened? And we share these.
That's our daily high.
And it's funny because if we just go out and talk about it, people are going to be like, yo, that's pretty cool, dude. It's like people, it's such a whole multi-dimensional different level that when we come out, we really just sit, listen, and then write, and then put it all together as we integrate it. And I find so much happening on a intergalactic level, multi-dimensional, that we really just sit, embrace, and feel how that brings forth our daily teachings, in our healings, and what's come forward. Because I know what I'm honored is Honi and I have, when we expand our travels, we also know that we're expanding the communities of light throughout this world. It's the one thing that we're excited to look at internationally, of the areas that are calling this energy, the healing, Honi's teachings, and how we can collaborate with many communities. And so as all these messages are being brought forth, we feel we're the transmitters, the beings of light to bring forth in those areas that are being called. So it's been pretty powerful to see what's been coming through, and then where we're being called, because I mean, I feel like you and Morgan, like it surprises us, you know, it comes through us, and then it's like, okay, now how do we integrate it? Where do we go forward in this?
I feel sometimes it's like what happens, like we have recording, we record every time we sit in meditation, what we experience, we record the audio afterwards. But oh wow, and it's amazing because we get to share, and what's been happening is that it's been a while now that we go into experience and we both experiencing interdimensionally the experience, and we come back, we say the same thing, more or less what we were experiencing, whether they were portals or the dragons or the crystals, and where we were going and what was happening. So we're like, wow, I was experiencing, like I was experiencing that, and while we're just sitting in the presence of each other, and our bodies have, I feel like one of the things that's happened, we've become very, I mean, we've been both so sensitive, but it's become like the sensitivity has gone off the roof. And so it's like every thought, every emotion has become so immersed with each other. It's beautiful, and it's also annoying, because the second we're hairline off, we feel it in each other, and we're constantly with one another, and there's multiple amount of things that we experience.
What do you do? What do you do when you get when you're out of alignment? How do you guys handle that?
That's a good one.
You know what we do, Todd? When we get out of alignment, we get the paddleboard.
Yeah.
We go into nature and we just let go of everything, and we just relax and just feel the energy of Mama Earth, of the water. Yes, 2 days ago, we went out there and we just lied, and we just listened.
And I screamed.
She screamed. She got on the board, and I
screamed so much. I had to let it go.
Honey, go to the water and release it all. Because, you know, when I left Mexico, I was on a beach with all my friends. She's like, I want you to go to the water and go, like let it all go. And I'm like, honey, like my clients are here. I wasn't at the point of like just ready to do that. She's like, you got to go to the water and release it. So 2 days ago, she was on the paddleboard. She released it. And I said, honey, isn't it amazing when we can let the water,
I took a little video of that,
and just let everything around us wash away the energies, because we do notice that when we're in this, we have to be very crucial in our balance and alignment. One message. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important, you know, because it's obvious, like the whole scenario with you going to one room, she goes into another. You're the masculine, she's the feminine, and you know, I mean, that's a powerful equation. And so it's also, you know, I mean, we're expanding the template at a minimum, or creating the new template, or the new good book, or the new blueprint that we'll pass on after we all get through with this trip. But my question is, how does all this external work, because the human's still the hero, how does it affect the divine conscious union? How does it affect the relationship? Because there's been more and more people stepping up in divine conscious union, and of course the importance of those couplings is coming to light more and more every day. So you have your individual missions and duties and stuff, and then you come together and you combine that, which is colossal. How does that affect the humans? I mean, do you guys have to like take time for yourselves sometimes and tell them to back off and step down and anything like that?
I feel that there are a couple of ways to really address that. One is that like we also get a chance to, we do our individual work and then sit together for the combined energy that we have to also feed that and see what happens and what we're receiving and what we're getting and what needs to go out. And then there's that constant checking in, constantly checking ourselves. Okay, where is, if misaligned, going back to the drawing board, bring it back to alignment, and being brutally honest. Like this week, there were a couple of things happen, triggers come out, and really addressing the trigger. And we're unafraid to really speak it. Like, I'm very vocal, and Michael fortunately has learned to become also very vocal and expressing and really stating it. And part of it to recognize that's the higher responsibility. And also constantly being heartful and mindful to be responsible for this flame of ours, because sometimes from a state of unawareness and like, let's say, simply being exhausted or tired, not handling that preciousness, the sacred flame with the most care or gentleness. And it's like almost like roughhouse, and I am very sensitive to that. So I really communicated, because I'm aware when we expand into these fields, there's more things that will come up in us and around us to address. And so we're very conscious about the art of balance constantly. How do we bring more balance? Okay, what do we need to let go? Like this particular event, okay, we recognize that we're growing bigger and bigger. We need more help. We just can't handle it, and we can't be at that level of exhaustion. So to get more help, to communicate, okay, this is working, this is not working, and really being able to hear each other, I feel is very important.
Because we constantly step back and say, what did we learn from this? How can we focus, modify, and what Honi said, really listen to each other, really listen to one, because we know that, in the sacred divine union, we all are on that individual journey, but we're all in oneness together. So it's so powerful to see where we are at and what things are coming up in our own triggers, what's coming up when there's big events. And what I found is when these big events happen, there's one part as facilitators, but there's another part after the event that's like the secret message kind of we didn't even see within, because afterwards it's like the little treat that we get to receive after. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, like I don't know if you've ever been on an interview and then like you hear it all, then afterwards you're like, wow, there was that gift afterwards that was here to say something, and we didn't even expect it. It was just like, there it is.
So do you ever have to just take time apart and be in solitude?
Yeah. Once a week, Michael, I tell Michael, because my sons come over and there's this thing, like, Michael, go be with your mother son time. I really value son time. And just that time is very important. We really embrace alone time, and also the time, like, I need my creative time. So and I felt like today we went for a walk. I was like, I need more of that. I need a little bit more of that, and to be able to communicate it. And the thing is, we do laugh. We laugh a lot, because we definitely don't feel we've figured this shit out at all.
Nobody's figured this shit out.
No, seriously, Todd.
It humbles us.
We feel like, okay, all right. Like, there's a little, pat on the back. Okay, we got this much done. Okay, we got this much out. We got like this much more to, like just to anchor it. So it like this art, we're in that flow of art of it, and so there's a lot between washing the dishes, cooking, and between cleaning up, and everything that happens in between life, like children, my mother, and this and that, like, oh, Michael's mom, like all of these things in the midst of it is truly an art. The only thing I do want to say, this past weekend particularly, when we got home at 12:30, because I go to bed at 8:30, it was really late. But it was so surreal. I couldn't believe, but I could believe that we did this. This happens once every 26,000 years. And here we were on a global level on Earth. So many of us took part in this particular stargate, in being so dedicated, and on a soul plane we agreed to come to just anchor this, and it had been building up. I mean, it was just such a victorious moment for me.
Yeah, and it's and like we still have to go through it individually, you know, all this stuff that's happening, do the work, and then your divine conscious union. I know I picked up over the last few weeks that even maybe going back like 2 or 3 months, that some of these couples are saying there's been a significant change in their relationship over the last 2 or 3 months. Have you guys experienced that?
We've felt the intensities. I mean,
I feel a lot more strength as well.
I feel like there's been a lot of strength, and then there's been intense moments that have come through that I always tell Honey, when we communicate and go through it, it even strengthens even to a deeper level. And I'm glad you asked that, Todd, because one of the biggest things that I'm aware with Honey, and I don't know if you see this when you're with Morgan, is we spend so much time together. And so there's a crucial balance of having that, which I'm so happy you said, Todd, that solitary time of like, okay, what do I need to do for my own self-love? What do I need to go out and walk so I can handle my own verbal shit, so that I'm not projecting it upon Honey.
Because once in a while he does that, and I blow up.
Yeah, and so you know, and this firm Persian woman that is, you know, of the lightness of light, galactic. She has some beautiful fire, and I'm a fire dragon. So two dragons coming together. It's interesting to notice, you know, that time is needed just to get out there, go to nature, talk it out, say it, and deal with our own stuff before we can even possibly point the finger or project it, because sometimes in our spiritual nature we want to share it or we want to say what it is, but really we have to clear our own before we can actually bring it forward and say, okay, this is what I'm going through, unless there's a sacred space to say, I'm ready to say something. Are you ready just to sit, not judge, just listen and let me speak so that I can clear it out so I can be heard?
Yeah. And I think there's the dynamic that's changed, I know, in our relationship. And it's following the collective. It has to be, because whether we're talking divine conscious union, two incarnated souls, or we're talking the collective feminine, the collective masculine, we know that she took the lead. We know that she was leading the way. We've all known that. But there seems to be, over the last 2, 3, 4 months, a shift in the masculine, who's shed this power, this false power, and has started to come up with a new voice, the natural voice, and creating good stress on what you're describing. Have you, for instance, on the masculine side, have you, because I know with these relationships, the feminine's been the transmitter. Have you started to pick up on more intuitive universal messages for the both of you?
I feel, the message that I get every day in my prayer, and it's a simple message, Todd. It's very humble. Every day that I come out of my prayer, it keeps saying, follow your heart. Listen to your heart and keep following it through, not only through my individuality, my masculinity, but also in our relationship and everything that I've done. And also the permission for me to be the fullness and expression of me, of not holding back. I hear it from my guides, my beloved shares it to me quite a bit, that it's saying, now is the time to create and go beyond what the mind can possibly imagine and come forth and do what the heart is sharing in the voice of the heart, which has led me to step up and create more videos.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, and I was going to bring up the ArchAngel Michael stuff, and I want to do that. Guilherme made a comment here, and this is going to lead into the next question. He says, totally huge shifts in the dynamics. Also transcending the idea of relationships between a masculine and feminine, and embrace all as an expression of the self, ourselves in perfect balance within. Now, I'm not making light of that at all. We know that's where we're going, or where we are, and maybe we're not conscious of it or integrated or embodied it. I don't know what the word is, but I guess I identify more with the human part of it, you know? And so I always look at, okay, what does that really look like out at the ground level, you know. I look at our relationship and not in a inferior, superior way or derogatory way in any way, but just as what's the progress? What's the state of equality in our relationship at this time? Have you noticed a change in the state of equality, understanding that the feminine has been in the lead for quite some time? Have you noticed a change in that?
I can speak from this part. One of the things that I've noticed in the dynamic of our union is that, for example, this would play a part because I'm going through my shifts through what's so-called menopause. So that itself on a very human level has changed a lot of things. So we're in the midst of having to communicate a whole lot between all of the changes, you know, and also the arts of it, and the respect and compassion and really applied action of love. And I feel one of the things that I've seen in Michael, there's been this shift from the cognizance in the etheric level and really applied in action in the embodiment. So there's a lot of areas that he's truly pulling it in and anchoring it, truly pulling it in and anchoring it. And it is wonderful to be a witness and watch, because what I'm seeing is more of that balanced state of the oneness, which then also assists me, because, like, you know, the feminine has been in the forefront and all of that. So that's been also helping and assisting in that alignment as well. So I feel we're reaching a place of neutrality pretty soon. Are we there yet? No, but we're getting glimpses of it, where we are just, it's just so, it's like one song. We're not yet in a one song, we're getting there. And because our songs are, there's a dance and we're in this cosmic dance together. It's wonderful. And I'm looking where the tones, like the overtones, that all come together. And that is happening the more that higher awareness is really brought into the body, and no part of it is denied. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, we did a talk. Like, I was so frustrated for 3 days. I had this metallic taste in my mouth. I couldn't get rid of this metallic taste. It was making me crazy and my system going nuts. And I was like frustrated. And I was like, Michael, my goodness, go do something about this. And so, you know, and I was like, you know what? I want like a gummy bear in a sugar cone with Tabasco sauce on it, and like this, and just totally crazy, and really embracing the crazy part of my physical being that is integrating into this. And it was beautiful, Michael being so sweet and loving about it, and really applying that space, the container from his divine expression, that there is nothing wrong with you. You're just aligning with these higher frequencies that are coming in. We laughed a lot about it, but really, like, just feeling crazy, literally just feeling crazy, and him being that sweet, soft, and really that presence that all is okay.
Yeah.
So, and I feel these are the qualities that is being more embodied in the masculine form, bringing forward, because that's creating that balance within the collective that is so necessary.
And just to one small thing, I find I'm so honored and grateful, Todd, that having my dear beloved as the container of the sacred divine feminine, it's given me the opportunity, the freedom, and the strength to really rise forward in expressing myself to a larger scale. Because there's certain elements within my own self, when I reach that edge, or I reach that area where I'm uncomfortable, and I appreciate how Honi is like, okay, step forward into that. Don't, you know, if you feel uncomfortable upon the video, great, keep doing them. If there's a message that you, keep doing them. Don't even think, and don't let the ego get into it, just keep following it. So I appreciate that, because there's an element where I feel a very humanist, not even attachment, a humanist energy to this plane. And I know Honi has a very galactic nature. And so the combination of both of us really helps bring forth a lot of the energies that we work together with in the support, in the love, and what I find in the energies that we're thriving together. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you. These polarities are very interesting. Morgan's obviously very galactic. And I come from the other direction. We had an interesting experience the other night. And so this will lead into the next question along this subject. So we had 2 nights ago, she, I'm not trying to be funny, but she turned into a dragon.
Yeah.
As we laid in bed, clasped palms as we always do. First thing that happened, which I think is related to the dragon, I'm not that well versed on the dragons, but it was first she brought in that this was going to be a throat chakra expansion. And so she went through emerging with her dragon. Her dragon presented itself. I looked over at her. I could see her turn into a silhouette of a dragon. And fast forward a little bit, and it became somewhat of a, I would have to say, emerging, a sacred sexual vibrational intimate frequency, though nothing 3D, where ultimately what ended up happening was her frequency became very masculine. Not very masculine, but it was masculine in its energetics, and mine became feminine in its energetics. As it completed, they had merged, and they merged with me. And it was very interesting, a little sidebar. Once she was instructed to put her hand, which wasn't a hand at all, actually, as she went up my chakras, it was actually a dragon's claw. And with gold lights coming out of it and stuff. But once she hit the throat area, I went into, just the numerous, what I would have to describe as feminine throat chakra type orgasms, right? Fast forward again, we completed, the dragon appeared in front of me with a very large, her dragon. Huh?
What color dragon?
Black with red, and it had a gold stripe on its snout. And so what I got out of it was, and she picked up most of this, and we just kind of talked about it and put it together, so I can't say that I got out of it, but was that it was a situation where she was pulling in her masculine, or integrating her masculine. I was integrating more feminine, and it was going to have something to do with our visibility as we went out and were on camera, where there would become this more balanced state of speaking. Yeah. But what I thought was interesting was that it was like her masculine was rising to speak, and then my feminine was falling in line to speak on, in more, and again, it's metaphoric, and then it's also literal. Yes. So I guess what I'm saying is that, have you found that in each other, opposite the physical gender, that you're having the opposite gender come up in you and expand in its natural nature? For instance, myself being, very loud, talkative, been out there for a long time, a lot of the old masculine, now dropping down, becoming softer. That has to be some of the feminine in me, you know what I mean? And then vice versa. For her, being in the background and then stepping up with more strength and power, the soft power, the balance, the judiciousness of the masculine. Have you experienced anything like that that's playing a polar to your physical?
I feel like with us, it's been like that from day one, that we came together. So that's not a part that is necessarily developing in us, because that's a part that we came together was very much already that. And what is happening with us that I find is slightly different is there's more of actually Michael owning his sacred divine masculine, because his sacred divine feminine is so expansive. It's already really intact. So that's what's happening with him. And for me also, that part is balancing. So we're in the opposite of you and Morgan. But I'm also very aware of what is happening. There's a soul aspect of us in every expression, in every dimension, in every verse and multiverse, from all planes and all timelines. There's a return, like a magnetic return back to us in this monad. And so, for example, the other day, I don't know if I told you, the other day I had this awesome experience that in my meditation, and I dropped into the body of this amazing white unicorn. And then my third eye was the, how you say this thing, the horn of the unicorn. And from my third eye, the unicorn was sort of like, my head was going like this, was the head of the unicorn. I was completely in the body of the unicorn, and the lights were going everywhere. I was like, wow. And I've experienced shape-shifting many times, and I feel these are our natural abilities. What is happening, I've also experienced moving into the body of the dragon. None of this is new, because what is happening through these frequencies, through the photonic place, through these blasts of the light codes within us are becoming, what's already inside is becoming accessible from our multidimensional aspect. So Morgan experienced the dragon, you experienced it, all of these. There's so, Michael saw me one night. We were actually in Simone's house spending the night. That night, middle of the night, I started moving. I was completely in a body of a jaguar, black Mayan jaguar, speaking to Michael.
But she saw me as a jaguar.
And we were both totally jaguars. I wasn't on any hallucination, nothing. But I woke up and I entered that space, but completely embodiment of that. So we have been many different beings, and especially dragons. And the dragon energy is so much on the planet right now, because that's a huge part of our sacred flame fire, the sacrificial fire, the divine fire that is being returned back to us. That's why, like many of the transmission I go, the ancient dragons come in. This is a very important part of the return back of our sacred flame that I wanted to address.
And Todd, I feel that was an amazing question, because I feel at this time, what in my understanding or experience in the Sacred Divine Union is, as we come together and holding that space, we are activating each other. We are fully allowing each other to come forth. And I find that's one of the most special gifts, when we can create the time to sit and allow what comes forth, because it is literally magic unfolding, and we can't quite put words to it. We're bringing the magic through. And what I love about it is, it was even a message from my father on the other side, is keep sitting in that space. Keep in that presence, keep allowing, because that activation is allowing all of this magic, and it's really allowing the alignment of one come together. And to me, there's moments where we have our heads pressed.
Oh, we had that the other night.
Our third eye to third eye. We'll do these exercises, and we come out.
But we completely were merged with just our foreheads with each other. There was no part of us left. We were just one essence. It was so incredible.
I mean, we came out of it, and I love what you speak about, Todd, in sacred sexuality, because in some of the exercises of, left eye looking at right eye, our positions where we hold, and just feeling that bliss and that excitement and that enjoyment, and we have our clothes on and we're embracing, and we come out and like, wow, we'd like to talk to others to say, well, how are their experiences? Because it's so transcendent that we come out, we almost have to ground in a way, because we're lifted so far out of our body.
What's coming through from that place is pure it's pure stream of light that comes in through, that grounds right through our collective pranic tube that goes down to earth. So for us, we look at this as a very important contribution toward that our energies have come together to serve. And literally, but this is applied in all areas, including, let's say, our Washington gas that we have to, the customer service that we're talking to, that, like, let's say overcharge us like $300. Our monthly bill is $300. But how is that energy being applied? How is this energy being to the maintenance person that came in the door? Like, literally, actual application. I don't like talking here. I do not resonate with people who just talk here. They're not living it. They're not grounded in that energy.
Yeah.
You respond to grounded energy when you bringing it in and serving it from the groundedness.
Yeah, I find that we were talking today, and I find that the sacred sexual vibrational intimacy is the micro. Like when the core of bringing in that magic, but it's also the core of the creation seed. It's where the new creations come from. It's where the Akashi's expanded from. And what I was getting at is that it's a place where there are no directions.
Yeah.
Like, you show up and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if she's going to turn into a dragon, or you're going to turn into a lion, or the galactics come in and fill the room up, or you do something that you never think about and it creates soulgasmic experiences. You just don't know. But with it comes code and downloads and magic, like you said. And also from there springs forth creativity, creation. And so I find it, it's like we don't know what to do, but we always know what to do. Mm-hmm. And it just happens naturally. And I know you've experienced that, but it's such a new territory that what I remarked about 2 nights ago with kind of not the exchanging of gender frequencies, but the expansion of the gender frequencies in the opposite physical gender. You know, I just saw that as being something that, how could balance come from the masculine or the feminine if they did not embody the experience and the reality of the opposite gender, which is what? How do you embody? You become that, right?
Right.
You know? So it's an interesting dynamic. It really is.
And what's really happening, Todd, is that, for example, when we first came into our alignment start, I mean, the massive amount of experiences, you know, we've talked about the pyramids and the lights. I mean, there's so much, we've experienced so much. After a while, what happens is that we really ground in the energy. So we're not experiencing so much of that, like, shattering, whoa, we saw this, because the frequency becomes part of us and is accessible to us constantly. And so, you know, like, I feel that, for example, Michael and I pretty much share the same team above. Like, who is in his team, because we've said also in prayer, we've said it out loud, and we pretty much share the same team. So what is happening, all of these higher dimensional beings, all of our masters, ascended masters, they're part of us, and that part of us has become awoken. So it's no longer shattering, rattling, or so like this, because it becomes the new normal, if you want to call it, or more the new natural, because we've now tapped into our natural state, which is part of all of it. So very easily I can access this. So it's no longer a big deal anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it used to be such a big deal. Some of the experiences still pretty much are. But one of the things that we find, like, when we go into dream state, like the other night, I went into a place of supreme satanic dark in what is happening on earth. And Michael and I were in this dream, and I was like, oh my goodness. So now what I'm seeing is the next level of work. Okay, you've marinated, you've expanded in this, you've marinated, you set on it. All right, now let's get you into this very hidden, secret, dark work, dark things, cells that are unearthed, that are part of these portals that are hijacked, that have high powers through the magnetic expansion of it. Now start clearing it by your presence. You see what I mean?
Which ironically was done after we did the planetary
healing
on these areas that have been responsible for the things Honi talked about, without getting into the explanation.
Yeah, I don't want to get into
and transforming that through what we did in our own gathering, and then taking it, which I find it's one of the most exciting levels, to then get out into the earth.
Get out and do it.
And what's so powerful is to do it in a way where we are so passionate, we're so loving, but we're doing it where no one actually understands it, because we are in a form that...
It's not understand. Yeah. It's just there's certain things,
people
Todd,
that see us,
cannot... There's certain things ask not to communicate it through the airways. So a lot of things we can talk about, just that's all it is. And some...
I respect that. That.
Because of the nature of rose. So we know when we're working with the golden white rose, we're working with the alchemized state and the purity state. And we're working with the crystalline, these fractals of this rays of this golden light. And so when we're taking it into this certain grids that have hijacked the natural power, so what happens? What is exposed? What's being fed there that is in opposition of this? You see what I mean? So the next level of work is deep grounded work, you see, because we have to bring it in, because Gaia's already expanded with her light through the unity flower, through the grids. Now we ground crew, we're like we're right in there. And each person is positioned differently.
And it's fun. It's an adventure, Todd.
It is an adventure.
I feel it's like an amazing race with Goonies. Yeah. With like, we're doing these things and no one can see what we're doing. And Honey's like, don't make it look obvious. Yeah. Honey, I got this. She's like, you go that direction, I go that direction. You do this, you do that. And
it's very coded.
And it's so funny because I'm like, they're looking at us being like, look at these guys. They're walking around. They're doing their activations. They're doing, and we come back and we're like, wow, where's our next spot? Okay, go here, go here. And it's like this teamwork of like, here we go, what's next? And it just creates this fun, because part of life is that adventure, that fun. That's
absolutely. How does that doing? And I don't want to go. We'll go this and then close it out with a couple things I was going to see if you guys want to do. How does that compare, doing that grid work out there, embodying that and activating that, to the power of that core that I was talking about? And everybody's different, and every template's different. So I'm not saying I'm advocating what is the right way or the wrong. I'm just trying to get some contrast and perspective. And that is the physicality of Helioscamos, the physicality of the chakras becoming one, and actually experiencing everything in her body from his consciousness, and vice versa. The power of that, without any strategy, without any outline or objective, but just meeting that, coming to that point, and aligning those frequencies to bring in that magic and to emit a higher light, where these things that we've all had to deal with and contend with no longer become any type of power or threat. How does that compare? Your intimate, yeah.
I mean, what I feel so honored is when the divine masculine and divine feminine can come together, and whether it is in person or on a planetary, I feel there is a resonance, because each person is guided in their mission, in their contract to bring forth. What I find when we do this is this energy that expands and illuminates the light, the love, and our mission within.
Yeah.
Whether it's we're merging as one, whether we're on a planetary healing, I feel there is a resonance within that we're bringing forth what the planet needs at this moment.
Yeah. Lighten up the grid.
Answer that slightly different. So, for example, individuals are called, whatever their mission is, it is. There's some of us who are stationary positioned at a certain physical location, and they're there to transmit the light. Like, let's say you and Morgan right now positioned in Kauai, and from that alignment through that portal, you're transmitting light. There are those of us who have to be physically taking our physical bodies on the land, different locations, and walk the land. And walk that land, take this frequency and spiral that energy. You see, and there is sometimes where this energy has to be, like we've been in a sacred place where it's been asked, we have to actually physically merge. We're like, oh my goodness, here, you know, and then like literally bring all of our bodies together. Like our craziest was, we were in for 12/12 when we first got on the road together. Like it was in the,
you would love this story when we meet, because this was, you know, it was
in the middle of nowhere, because we were supposed to be in Tulum, and that shifted the night before. The team above said, no, not there. You have to, the coordinates have changed. You got to go to some other place. So, and it was, a lot of the information is very specific, and the timelines had to change. So we had to go, and Michael and I never had any experience with each other. We hadn't kissed, we hadn't done anything, nothing. And then they gave the image of where it needs to be. Usually they show me very specific image, and we have to get on the land and somewhere and go find this location. So we went, and it was bare white beach, no building built, nothing. And we had to go through a jungle to get there, because we had to work with this specific purity flame on this day, and it had to be right before 12/12. So we had to get there, and we had to both get naked. Like, imagine we don't know each other that much yet. And we have to go, well, a little bit more. And we had to get on there to start. I started having to go through the sort of like the start gate opening up, and what is happening, all of this stuff happening, and then having him take part. I had to do this rotation. I was like, Michael, come do this rotation. All of this is happening. Anyway, and at the sometime after a couple of hours later, while we're in it and happening, and then I hear like, no, you have to now bring, because up until that point we hadn't even kissed yet. And at that point, they asked, our actual bodies have to merge because they're going to bring the light through. And I'm like, oh my God, here, naked on the ocean, there's like nothing, nobody here. So we had to, that was our first union together in the middle of absolutely nowhere, bringing our bodies. You're like, oh my goodness. And you're like kind of shy at the same time. So that's a little bit of an extreme, but also the other part is not that. So, there's all these other things where we've already brought our energies. Now we have to use the vessel we're in to expand the light through us in the rotational fields we have to do and walk the land and what we need to do.
Right.
So,
my battery might run out here in just a second, but I wanted to offer you both, if you got something you want to offer to us in terms of a blessing, light language, affirmation, either, take turns, because I know Michael connects with Archangel Michael. You've got the light language, and I'm sure there's other things you do I don't know about, or if you want to do something together.
Okay, we can bring some light transmission forward if you want. Why don't you, can you just rotate it very, maybe let's do, okay, so maybe you can have them just close their eyes and really tune into that place, and we bring, and I'll see what would want to come in, maybe through the fleet ships or this big one above. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. There you go. Let us go ahead and close our eyes. Taking a nice deep breath in. And just allowing ourselves to feel our precious beat of our heart as we call upon the golden pyramid of light to be placed upon us. allowing the highest vibration of light to be brought forward, giving great gratitude, great thanks to the angels, to the masters, to our star sisters and star brothers, thanking our elementals, thanking our dear sacred councils and orders, and thanking our dear sacred Mother Earth. As we honor this moment with Source and our pure connection within, we allow this opening to take place.
Look at me, Nikla, Nakmiat Muraka. Look at me, Nikmilak Murakmiat Ma. Nikmiat. Umakia Nakmatea. Lakmi Tara Lakmiat Lishmi Tikmarachayat Lishmiat Kurakmiat Halamkayat Ishkianan Hamatkiat Marat Lichmiat An Nakmiat Iramhayat Lishmiat Urat Lishmiat arak fulak miat hirat mi uchmiat mi likshmia hatmarat kirat miahi luchuk tirak mayat arat marakaya nikhialat makana marat maratara khushmilat nilak alaham tarakaya lichmiat arat tumak ayatira maya Sirak maya tarak maya tikat noa arak maya tika maya tira lelachmi Ushmiata lakmiata atmia kikirak mara adatmia kirat miai Ukmiata laktiashi likmia atmaya kirat mua aratarama kilak murataramaya ialaga mu turak miala So that was a transmission from the golden royal blue dragons, as well as the Antarians, the elder Antarian consciousness, and some of the Avalian star brothers and sisters. So we're so grateful for that transmission. And that transmission was dedicated to the golden frequency of the crystalline light that is being anchored through our presence into earth, into the unity Christ consciousness. So we're very grateful to it. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for receiving. Thank you for allowing. Please drink a lot of water. And I believe